A Black Louisiana family says they were wrongfully detained by cops looking for a suspect. Lafayette police swarmed the Kristoff family home on June 29th, looking for someone who did not fit the description or live at the house. According to their attorney, Darrell Washington, the officers refused to answer questions and placed handcuffs on the father and his daughter. He also said his clients were threatened with a canine dog. They were eventually released after the officers discovered who they were looking for was not in the home. Washington says his clients plan to sue the Lafayette Police Department, and Darrell is joining us right now. Thank you so much for joining us tonight with this terrible story. First question I have, can you just update us on how the family is doing?
It's the family is traumatized. I'll be honest with you. I cannot minimize it at all because the family know how lucky they are to be alive, because we have seen so many situations where police officers have gone to the wrong home and someone end up dead. So, you know, the family has thought about that their entire time. But I will tell you, man, just for the father, it's just been extra difficult seeing his daughter in handcuffs, seeing his 10-year-old son have to witness all of that, and watching his wife be escorted out of the house with guns pointed at them. So you can imagine as a father knowing that you was in a helpless position, not being able to protect your family. That's something that's just really been bothering him really bad.
Yes, as a father of three and two daughters myself, and a son as well, I definitely, this just is gut-wrenching on so many levels. How have the police tried to explain this?
They haven't, to be quite honest with you. It's been very disappointing because we've said the entire time we are not very difficult to find. They have not actually issued a statement that I'm aware of, even trying to justify their actions. But here's what we know. The descriptions that they had of the individual that they were searching for did not match Jeremy. The clothing that the person was wearing did not match the clothing that Jeremy was wearing. So they knew this right off. But despite knowing this, as you know, Black people in America just aren't safe. They view us as criminals, unfortunately. And although they knew that Jeremy did not match the description of the person that they were looking for, they felt that they were justified in treating this family in this manner. And because this has been so bad, the Lafayette Police Department has not publicly responded to it. But you and I both know, had there not been video footage of this incident, the narrative of what actually happened would be totally different.
Absolutely. Well, one of my concerns is that I feel like even with the police footage, we have seen in so many cases that people have still tried, and police departments have still tried to switch the narratives. Do you feel like this is conclusive enough in what we're seeing, that the evidence is solid enough to really be able to go forward and hold them accountable, particularly since they're not saying anything to you right now?
The evidence is very solid. There's no doubt that these officers were made aware that they were not at the proper home. They seized my family, which would be a violation under the 14th Amendment. They had an obligation to talk to the family. They had an obligation to just answer questions. Had they just been courteous to the family, answered some questions, then we wouldn't be here right now today. They just simply refused to do this. The part that was just very difficult to watch was when they actually threatened to release this canine dog into Jeremy's home and have this dog attack the family. So if they were willing to do that, wow. You know that had Jeremy or anyone in the family just made any type of wrong move, they were just waiting to shoot one of them. And here's something else that we've discovered. This is not an isolated incident. I've been getting calls from individuals from Lafayette, Louisiana, who have been telling me about similar stories. They're telling me how they've been treated by police officers within that city. So the one thing that we are encouraging people to do, talk about this situation. If you have been victimized by somebody from the Lafayette Police Department, let us know, because what we want to do is we want to be able to argue that this is not an isolated incident. This is the custom and practice of the Lafayette Police Department. This is systemic. This is something that's been taking place for quite some time. Individuals have been harmed as a result of the wrongful actions of Lafayette Police Department. I just talked to a family where a young kid, I think 18 months, was killed by a Lafayette police officer when they fired into her home. So there's just been things that I'm learning about this force that is very problematic. And the one thing that we want to do is we want to bring about change.
Rebecca, your question for Mr. Washington.
Mr. Washington, I was listening to what you were saying about how this police department, or just when we see these instances in general, that they don't really see us. It makes me think that they still think that we're 3/5 human, because, you know, even in the United States, there was an argument that we're not even full human. It wasn't just that for every 5 Black folks, they only counted 3. They literally said we're only 60% human. And that appears to be how they're still treating us now. And I'm also thinking about Lafayette, because I used to live in Louisiana, and I still remember how Lafayette had segregated proms, if I remember. So it's not just a police department issue, but it is a community issue in Lafayette. And so when Oma Congo was asking what excuse are they using, so I was just like, all right, so are they going to say that they misread the warrant, so they can't read because they didn't match the address? But now it sounds like they're trying to say, oh, well, maybe they're colorblind, or maybe they're blind because the description didn't match the people at the home. So my question for you is, especially with you highlighting that there are other issues going in Lafayette, what should Black families be doing now to protect themselves, understanding that we're going to have to go through a whole process of making this family whole, but then also investigating patterns of other behavior that's coming from this police department? What should Black families be doing right now?
First of all, people need to unify whenever there are these type of incidents. There are other individuals who have been victimized by the Lafayette Police Department. It's very important that they come forward, because these police officers and departments are accustomed to mishandling people, mistreating people, and saying, oops, I made a mistake, and it's all over again. People don't do anything about it because they don't think nothing could be done about it. It's just the total opposite. We need people to report these incidents. We need people to come forward. Even if you haven't been victimized by the Lafayette Police Department, it is important that you come forward, because the support that you give into someone else is the support that you give into your own home. I know you guys had a very good discussion about the election. And you know, I also always want to bring the election into the type of work we do as civil rights attorneys. I want people to know the seriousness of this. If we allow Donald Trump to get elected as president, civil rights are going to be in total jeopardy. I will tell you, some of these judges, federal judges who have been appointed by Donald Trump, when we go into their courts, when we're dealing with any type of officer-involved incident, it is extra tough, because a lot of these judges are pushing the agenda of Donald Trump. They understand and they realize that if they do the things that he wants them to do, the things that are exciting to him, then it makes it so much easier for them to move up in their career. So people don't understand. We only talking about one aspect of the election. But we have to know that we cannot allow this guy to make these judicial appointments, because this is going to have an everlasting impact on our communities. And we cannot allow police officers to know that they're going to be automatically receiving qualified immunity no matter how they treat people. We don't want this to happen. This is dangerous.
Scott, your question.
Yeah. Hey, Counsel. Good evening. Thank you for being here. I may have missed it, but what's the police department as to why they chose this particular family. That is, in the video, you can see they've got some shotguns and they're walking towards the house. They've got a police dog. So they're certainly looking for somebody who they believe to be very dangerous, right? So what is their narrative as to why they chose this family? And secondly, are you going to wait to file the civil lawsuit while this investigation goes on, or are you going to file it sooner than later?
Scott, we look in great question, Scott. One of the things, and as you know, when we're dealing with these cases, in order to survive Monell, we have to be able to have the facts to show that this is not really an isolated incident. So one of the things I want to be able to do is I want to be able to get as many other prior incidents as possible so that I can show that there's a training issue within the Lafayette Police Department. That makes it much easier for me to survive that 12B6 motion to dismiss. So although, people get pretty anxious about getting these lawsuits filed, I understand when we're dealing in federal court, especially in Louisiana, we have to make sure that we have enough of facts, enough of support in these complaints where they're not coming back and saying it's just conclusory. As to your very first question, they have not been able to give any justification as to why they made the decision to stop at this house and harass this particular family. Because one thing I can tell you, from the clothing, from the description of the individual that they was looking for, nobody at that home matched that description. But these officers, as you know, we deal with this all the time when you talk about pretextual stops. They use any type of incident, any type of opportunity that they can get to deal or harass Black people with the hopes that they're going to find something. And that's what we had right now. They knew they were at the wrong place. They knew that Jeremy and his family did not match the description. And look at what is so disgusting about this whole situation. They were looking or allegedly for a Black male. So what was the purpose of putting Jeremy's daughter in handcuffs? Clearly, she didn't match the description of the Black male that they were looking for. That's
a really bad fact for the police, in my opinion, because let me tell you something. That was to emasculate her father.
That's right.
That was to emasculate her father, and the psychological damage to that young girl at her age, whatever age she was, being in handcuffs, watching her dad be in handcuffs at their home, right? Not only violated in my opinion, the Fourth Amendment and the 14th Amendment, but also the psychological damage of emasculating that Black man in his home in front of his family. Certainly requires damages, in my opinion. And I know you're going to put that together for the civil suit. I know you got that covered.
And Mr. Washington, before you answer that question, I want to just read something that kind of speaks to the challenges within this police department. I'm going back to, and you know about this, February 3rd, 2021, deputy who died by suicide left haunting videos on racist policing division saying that he's had enough. Just really reading real quickly from part of it. Before Deputy Clyde Kerr the third took his own life Monday outside the Lafayette Parish Sheriff's Office, he left haunting final words in a series of social media videos. Kerr, a father and military veteran, was 43 years old. And he talked about so many issues from police brutality against Black people that you just talked about, mental health needs, children's exposure to murder, violence, and other negative traumatic influences. So we're talking about this outside issue that the civilians are dealing with. And this brother who took his own life in 2021 documented on video the internal issues as it relates to being a Black man in that department.
Yes, and I remember that. I remember that story so vividly. I mean, this brother got on and he explained the things. He even explained the problems that Black police officers have within these departments. And people try to say, well, this guy had mental issues or whatever. This guy let everyone know that there are problems in Lafayette Parish, and people ignored it. But luckily in this case here, the family lived to tell their story. Luckily, the father was smart enough to take his camera out and record what was going on, because you and I both know that had there not been any type of video footage, had they known that this family was not protecting themselves, the narrative would be totally different today.
So you are absolutely right. And what do you want us to be doing going forward as it relates to this? This is clearly not a story that's making it on some of these other networks. What is it that you want us to do going forward as it relates to raising awareness about this? Not just us as the Black Star Network, but the viewers as well.
Great point. I mean, the thing that we have to do is we have to continue to talk about these stories. And you have to continue to let these be conversations. But I always, and I know Scott's going to relate to this as well, I always tell people in the African-American community, we have an obligation as well to make changes. I can't tell you the number of times that we've prepared 1, 2, 3 years for trial, and we getting into these courtrooms, and we're about to select a jury, and we look out in that jury pool, and there's people who look just like us, and when they go through voir dire, they allow these attorneys to get them to eliminate themselves from serving on juries. We need to be able to serve on these juries. We need diverse juries in order to make a change, because oftentimes we go in cities like Lafayette and these other areas where individuals are pro-police. So it's important when we are able to get past summary judgment and get these cases to trial that the community also take care of their obligation. And that one of their main obligations is serving on these juries.
I really appreciate you ending on that, because one of the main challenges to fixing this system is our civic engagement as well. And so you're charged to that. You're charged to people within the community to speak up. Like you said, even if they're not dealing with a particular case, things that they're witnessing, we have to be able to continue to speak up as well as getting engaged as well. Mr. Washington, please, first of all, give our best to the family, and please keep us informed anytime you have some news information about this, so we can make sure that the Black Star Network family knows about this as well. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
No, thank all you guys for this discussion, man. It's been very good. And, I always enjoy listening to you guys discuss the issue. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you. You take care.
All right. Take care.
You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network, and we will be right back.